Hello everyone, this is George from Premax. In this video, I will introduce you the interface and the layout of our software. I will give you an example of how to set up the sun test to help you understand the basic setup of the software. This tutorial is for beginner, but I think it is pretty much for you to handle 90% of your vibration test. If you need more information of advanced setup, please look into the manual or contact Premax. So let's begin. We open the software. So for a new user, you should import your license first, and you can find a license sheet in the controller box. If you don't have one or your license has expired, please contact Premax for the update. Once you import the license, you are good to enter the main interface of the software. As you can see on the top, there's a menu bar. File menu is like a general file menu. You can open the file you saved from here, and the view menu, user administration. It's about the security things, and the tools menu. Here you should pay attention to the wave editor. The wave editor is a function which allows you to add a composition of filter to the raw signal data, and I won't go into great detail about this function in this video. And the help. So in this section is the vibration tab of the test. As you can see, we have random, shock, sun, RSTD, and all the other test type, which can satisfy all your industrial needs of vibration test. And the button, and you can open the recent file from here. Recent file. And the button of test tab will be green once you have activated this function. For example, the random function, then the random button will turn green. Otherwise, it will be a gray button. So let's start with the sun test. As you can see, this is the layout of the sun test, and the layout of the other tests are almost the same as the sun test, and you can modify the layout under the view menu. For example, I uncheck the run status, and this section disappeared. So usually we check all of them. And the first menu is a general file menu. You can save the file you created. And the view menu, you can modify the layout of your software from here. And then the setup menu. This is the most important one, where you can set up the whole vibration test. And this setup menu is corresponding to this section, these 6 buttons. You can set up for example, you can set up the channel parameters from the setup menu, channel parameters, or you can just click on this button, and there's also the settings of the channel parameters. Also, the control parameter is corresponding to the second button, and the limit corresponding to the third button, and so on. If we want to set up a test, we can just go through these 6 buttons instead of clicking to the setup menu. One thing we should pay attention to is that we should define the engineering unit before the setup. So engineering unit is under the setup menu here. You can choose the unit you want, either US standard or international standard, and the software will automatically calculate and convert the number between them. For example, it's a millimeter at first, and the scale is 0.001. And then I choose inch, and the scale changes. So in this video I will use the international standard, use the millimeter. Next on is the command menu, which is corresponding to this section. The command menu is here, and it's corresponding to this section. And the start button here is corresponding to this one, and stop corresponding to this one, so on. And as you can see that the interface of our software is designed very user-friendly. And in fact, all main functions we need in the test is listed below. It's listed here in this toy box. And the next menu is display, and it's corresponding to this section. And the curse, save, report, window, help. They are like auxiliary functions, and not as important as setup menu or command menu. And they are pretty easy to understand, so I won't go into details about these last 6 menus. You can look into the menu for more information of the use, or use the help menu here and find the definition and the description of them. Now let's start the setup of a sun test. First, we click on the channel parameter button, this one, and pops up windows. The number here, they stand for the channels. And in the second column, we can define the type of the channels. There are 3 options: control, monitor, disable. Disable is quite easy to understand, and I want to tell about the difference between the control and the monitor. So when we choose the control here, the controller will receive the signal feedback from channel and adjust the output drive signal to control the vibration within an expected range. If we choose a monitor, it can only receive the signal and makes no difference on the output drive signal. Next column is the voltage range of the input channel. You can define the measure range of your sensor here. The basic principle to determine the range you need is to use this equation. The equation is maximum voltage of the input channel equals the maximum acceleration of the shaker times the sensitivity of the sensor. The sensitivity is here. And so usually if you have a sensor with sensitivity of 10, the range, you can change the range to 1. And if the sensitivity is about 100, and you can change it to 10. The next column is weighting. So if you use more than one channels, you should define the weight of each channel, and the sum of them is equal to 1. But for single channel test, you can just leave it as default, just like this one. So for the next several columns, couple, TEDS, sensitive transducer, and sensitivity, you can ask the sensor manufacturer for the information of them. I just give you the information of the sensor we commonly use. So the couple is usually IPE, TDS off. If you have an accelerometer, you choose the acceleration, and you can find the sensitivity from your sensor box. So this time I will use 100. And the column next on, the columns next on is advanced setup. For example, if your controller has not been calibrated for a long time, and there's an offset of your channel, you can enter the offset value if you can measure it. So usually we just use the default value. You can also use help to find the description of and the definition of these items. So the output channel, we use default value, and the channel limit. It's an advanced setup, and usually we use the default value. If you need more information about that, please look into the menu. So after we set up the channel parameters, click on OK. The next on is the control parameter. You can define your control strategy here. We just disable all the other channels because this time I will run a single channel. So select the second row and click on the disable and filter down, and all the other channels are disabled. So next on is the control parameter. Because we use a single channel, so we choose the single channel control strategy, and you can read the manual for the information of the other options. So the pre-test here, for the LT50 you can choose fast ramp up rate, and actually there's nothing much I can talk about the control parameters. In most cases we just use the default setup. So the next one is the limit parameters. This is for protect your shaker. So the test parameter, please use the recommend setup, which is the default one. And for the shaker parameters, please ask the shaker manufacturer for the information. And you can save your shaker parameter and import the parameter in the next time. It will be very convenient. So next one is the profile setup. It is the most important one, because once we set up the test for first time, we have little chance to change the first three setups. What we always change is the profile and the schedule. So you can enter the value in the box here. There you can find the requirement from. You can enter the value here according to your vibration requirement. So for example, and after you finish the setup the profile, you can have a preview on the right hand side. This is the acceleration at a frequency domain, and this velocity. This is displacement and force. And you can check if your shaker is able to run this test. As you can see, they are all checked green, so your shaker is able to run this test. If I change the profile like 10 and refresh it, delete this. Now, as you can see, the displacement is checked red, which means it has exceeds the limit of your shaker. So what you need to do is change the profile, or you change the shaker. You change a larger shaker. So this time I set the start frequency from 10 and to 2000, And now we can view the vibration test here. And as you can see, we set the end up frequency at 2000, but it only shows 300. So we should pay attention to the analysis frequency. It's always larger than the maximum frequency in the profile. So we choose 2400. Now it's 2000 now. And for the along and about setup, usually we use the default value. Along is corresponding to the yellow line here. These two yellow line. And if the control signal if the control signal exceeds or is lower than these two yellow lines, the system will report alarm. And this red line is the about line. If the control signal exceeds the about line, the system will automatically abort. So since we have finished the profile setup, this one is an advanced setup, and usually we just leave them as default. So after we finish the profile setup, we can go to the schedule. Please note that the frequency low should not be lower than the minimum frequency in the profile, and the frequency high should be not higher than the maximum frequency in the profile. And the start frequency is a value between the frequency low and the frequency high. And we choose a sun sweep. Delete this one, and this is what we want. Click on OK. Now, so we have finished the setup. So all we need to do is hit the run button and let it run. It takes time to initialize. So if you want, we use the property of the vibration signal. Right click on the window. Click on view property. And this is all the options you can choose to view. For example, I want to view since I have chosen the control profile high and about along, I choose import 1. It's not obvious in the frequency domain, so I can switch it to the 10 signal, import 1, and now you can see that the 10 signal here in the 10 domain. And usually we just need the frequency domain, so switch it to the frequency domain. So let's restart the test. It also takes time to ramping down. So now we click on the run button. As you can see that the signal is ramping up here, and now it's It's sweeping up from 10 Hz to 2000. And you can adjust the scale by left click on this coordinate. Drag it up. This is a sweep line. I can enlarge it so you can see. The green line is input 1. Okay, so far so good. So let's finish the video. Thank you for watching.